Hello, hello. Welcome to the live. How are you all doing? Today is a very important live because it is one of my favorite topics about helping the high performers. Now, who am I? I'm the director founder of Shivani Ayurveda, Dr. Shivani Sood, and it has been one of the very interesting subjects for me. Hello, hello. That I am able to identify a special niche in holistic health coaching that most of the high performers are having lots of health trouble. So, in today's live, I will be basically introducing you to some terms with which you can find out if you are one of the high performer and how you can help yourself with it. As you join in, let me know where you're joining from, and tell me about the things you identify with, because I just don't want this life to be a monologue, right? Shivani Avada Professional Group is a very special group for me because it's about consultancy. Now, I have always been very passionate about consultancy, and I believe that it is the right frame to put advices inside and to talk to people in a way that they understand instead of just talking about all the ancient theory or principles which people cannot understand. So, as being a doctor plus consultant, the doctor in me gives a lot of medical advices, but the consultant in me helps the people to recognize what they need to do in order to improve completely. Because whenever we look at people, we tend to find patterns, right? Patterns which are negative. There are patterns inside us which are also positive, but most of us are driven by motivation with pressure and motivation with really pushing ourselves. Give me a hello and a like if you're today in the life and you are a high performer and constantly want to perform high, isn't it? Like, send me likes and hearts to show me that you're there listening today for yourself. And if you're listening for your clients, then you're also welcome. But I'm pretty sure if you're exactly in the live right now, then you definitely want to know who is a high performer, isn't it? Are you excited for this talk? Because I'm highly excited. How did I, you're going to send hearts all through the consultation when you identify with what I'm saying. Now, how did I come to this realization that this section needs to be helped? It is because of me, right? When I was looking at the all my clients who I helped in consultation last year, so I saw this that most of the people who were with me either had problem with being a high performer or wanting to be a high performer, and they couldn't perform again, right? And they were always feeling this inner pressure with me. And it's amazing that because I had around 50 coaching last year done, and almost 40 of them had problem with high performance, right? Some of them were really in a very highly diseased state, and some of them were gonna enter the disease. Some of them were in a nervous breakdown state. But what I really found common in my last year coachings is that most of the people had high performance instincts. Some could really act on high performance, some couldn't. Hello, Theresia. Nice to see you in the live. So basically, I could see that I'm attracting a lot of people who have desire to perform high. And is high performance wrong? Absolutely not. It's not wrong. But if we see an evident study of what I have, taken out with high performance, then basically they say in the National Institute of Psychiatry that most of the bipolar people and people who have, high performance habit, they are having lot of bipolar disease. And apart from this, the diseases which are found in high performers is constant stress, number one, depression, number two, abdominal problems. That means there's something wrong with their stomach, because gut is the second brain. So when we don't feel good in our nervous system and when we feel pressurized, we feel it in our gut. So they have gut problems. It could be anything ranging from acidity to irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, autoimmune diseases, burnout, high blood pressure, heart issues, Parkinson and Alzheimer's when they're getting older, allergies and intolerances, hormonal imbalance, and then you can leave again, all the other diseases which are coming and going, like headaches and migraines and so on. So the list is endless, the list of being a high performer and feeling the stress is endless. And one thing what is really interesting to note in this is that you might not be necessarily performing high if you're a high performer, but there is this desire. You can also see that that basically it is you have this desire to perform high, but it's not happening. Something like, you can see clients who want to lose weight and they're doing exactly the opposite of what they need to do. Tell me if you see people like that, or if you do like that, that you want to take less work and actually you take more work than you actually want. So then you're basically are in the category of high performer, because most of the time, most of the high performers say to me, I know. Now, give me a heart if you know and you still do it, right? So if you're having this habit that you know that what you're doing is not good for your health and you still do it, so that means that you are entering the category of being a high performer. You know it's not good for you, but you still cannot stop the pattern. Now, what is a high performer spirit? A high performer spirit is a spirit that constantly wants to move and want to be better. This is the good part of being a high performer, that they always want to be better and better, right? So when they are better, they don't have this level of satisfaction. They are always into this part of what's next. Okay, I did this, and what's the next thing what I need to do? So they're never kind of really stopping. They're always like next and next and next, and many of these next are also not aligned. So they value themselves a lot with what they are doing instead of how they are feeling. Now tell me, what is more important, how we are feeling or what we are doing? If you have how you're feeling as most important, show me a 1. And if you think what you're doing is more important, that means if you are following your routine or something, then show me a 2, right? Show me a 1. What is more important for you? Is it really important to feel yourself? Do you actually feel yourself? Right? Or is it more important what needs to be done? So how does it distinguish? Let's imagine that you wake up in the morning and you need to go to your yoga class. So you need to go to your yoga class. You don't even ask yourself like, oh, how do I feel? So then you're in number 2. Are you number 1 or are you number 2? So if you are number 2, that means that you are not really connected to how you're feeling. Then most probably you are having the syndrome of high performer, right? So you are not thinking about how you're feeling, but you're thinking about that needs to be done, and that's what I want to do today. So basically, the number 2, I don't see any number 2s in the comment who just goes on with their day with mm, 1 recently, 2 used to. You see, this is the first thing about high performers. So all of you who are watching the live, just don't watch it. Participate in the live. Tell me about, why you're here so that you can see your reasons. So are you a number 1? Are you a number 2? Number 2 means being the person who just goes for the schedule because the schedule is made and it needs to be done, right? So this is basically the first thing about a high performer: disconnection with body and connection with what needs to be done. Now, I have been guilty many times as well, because when I used to go to Europe to do my European projects, then I used to be shown a schedule of 12 hours, sometimes 13 hours, and I never questioned it, that it's too much work for one person, right? I'm like, well, there are I need to do it, and I don't care where the energy is from, I'm going to do it, right? So this is the first thing what you start to have as a high performer, this thing about you must, I must. there's no other option. It has to be struggling, it has to be a pressure. And we are also always inspired by movies or things like that, which constantly say, that if it is easy, it's just not fun, it just needs to be tough, right? So we have this back picture in our brain that it must be tough. And that's where it always starts, the pressure which comes from inside. And actually, it seems like this pressure is helping you, but it's not helping you. Let me give an example. Let's say that you really pushed yourself hard and did work for 1 week. And then what will happen? You exercised, you did not eat if you want to lose weight, you pushed yourself. Then what will happen? Second week, you're sick, or something is happening, or something goes like you can't handle it. So you see, the body has automatically its way of bringing you back to alignment by making you stop. And that's why it comes to the first part of understanding this, that most of the high performers do not care about how they feel inside their body. It's just like a schedule has been given to them and they must complete it. They must do it. They don't even question the part of answering themselves. So one of my client was telling me, when I am running at the speed of 9 kilometers per hour, then I really feel very, very stressed. And I used to not feel stressed before. And I don't know, maybe give me a supplement because I want to run at the speed of 9 kilometers per hour on the treadmill. And I said, like, well, wait, who told you to run at 9 kilometers per hour speed? And she's like, no one. This is what I said to myself. And that's very interesting because she is like pushing herself. Nobody has told her to do all that, but she's just doing it. I said, wait a minute, if you're feeling tired, why not cut on some activity, rest a little bit, have some almonds before running, do some breathing. And she's like, well, I never thought this way. I just thought I could get a supplement and continue running at the speed I want to run. Right? And that is right. You can do it, but you cannot really do it for a long time because the body is very important. And the more we are thinking about high performance, most of the companies want it. Most of the people want to hire people who want to be doing high performance. But the thing is that it is just going to bring you back down to the floor. And we can see this if you're a yoga teacher also. Give me a thumbs up if you're a yoga teacher and you see in your yoga class people who are not accepting their body movements, as it is. They're just pushing themselves hard and hard. And that it will only improve eventually, whether it be your back bend or whether it be your headstand. And they're pushing themselves and they want to get better and better really fast. So you can, as a practitioner, also identify these people who are trying to do things with force. And according to me, growth is always very natural, and growth is something which happens, like if you're going to do one skill practice, it is natural that you will be eventually growing and, becoming better at it. You just don't have to force it. You just need to practice and you need to get somebody who will guide you for what needs to be done, right? And then you have like a great build up on your performance. You don't need to push yourself for performance, right? So it's a wrong thing to push yourself, and especially when I already told you all these diseases which come with high performance thing. Yes, Ashtanga yoga has a lot of goal thing as well, and I have seen this also like in Vikram yoga, especially also I've seen Vikram yoga students. They don't feel well inside the hot room, nevertheless they continue because they believe they have to. So you see, like the more you can find yourself or the people around you speaking this language, very simple language, I have to, I must, I should, rather than oh, I'm enjoying to learn it, or I'm enjoying to do it at the pace I can, I'm appreciating it, I have gratitude that I have this work. They are like, I must, I must do this, it must be pressure, it must be some kind of very strong thing which is happening. And what is happening, like there is always the thing in high performers that from outside everything looks okay, right? And that's very risky because from outside everything looks okay, but from inside everything is falling apart, right? So when they are coming to do something, they have this internal pressure. And this internal pressure is resulting in a lot of disease. While I was researching already the list of these diseases, which I found from my last year coaching, I guess the actual list of diseases of pressurizing and pushing yourself must be way higher, right? So, what does Ayurveda say about that? What does Ayurveda say about high pressure? So, for Ayurveda, this is like there are the three gunas, which is the sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is like doing things in a calm state and doing things with what you can. And rajas is this thing about constantly pushing and pressurizing yourself. I'll just tell you like a simple example. Like, let's say you're exercising and you're doing squats. So, when you're doing squats, you could just do the squats and see how much your body can go around and appreciate that you did 10 squats. And then actually, that in 1 week you'll be able to do 15 if you want to. But when the pressure comes in, then you pressurize yourself more and more to do. And what you're losing here is you stop appreciating that you have done 10, right? So you don't really appreciate things. You're like, okay, I did not do 5, but you forgot that you did 10. So you are actually not failing, right? And this is the human thing about, the neurohormones, that in our body, whenever we have stress, we have high levels of cortisol, and we have all these stress hormones. They are doing a very strong destruction in the body. Now, how is this destruction happening? So constant rajas scientifically has been also found out that it is increasing the histamines in the body. So all the allergic things, that's why happen, like lactose intolerance, gluten intolerance, these are all allergic things. And we can see that people are getting allergic to more and more food. So when these things are happening in you, and your body is trying to communicate it. But what do the high performers do? They go and get pills and they continue to do what they need to do. For example, if they have a blood pressure, they will just go and get blood pressure pill. If they have anxiety, they will go and get anxiety pill, right? So rajas is something which is like an energy, energy. Let's imagine like a fire energy. You cannot blame that the fire is wrong, can you? No, actually not. So when rajas is there, it's like really having this power in you, this pita fire in you, and knowing how to use it wisely. If you don't use it wisely, then it is like you can burn other people, you can burn yourself, you can burn the houses, you see. So energy is not bad, but the lack of knowledge how to use this energy. And why do we lack the knowledge? Because there are various reasons for lacking the knowledge. The most common one I see is that you don't accept some truth. There is some truth which you need to accept, and you don't accept that truth. Now when I do consultations, then I found out that many of the people who had very high performance habit, they basically could not really build good relationship with people around them, and when they started to perform, they started to feel good about themselves. So they had bad relationships and so on, or maybe their parents told them that they need to have pressure constantly. Have your parents told you that you need to be good enough, right? So then this is also another category. And also they have problems with boredom. It's really exciting to put yourself on the edge. And I know this, like you don't prepare for something and then you're like, okay, it has to go. You start to, pump up yourself and you're like, okay, it has to go. I have to do it. And there is like an excitement there as well. If you have done that, I don't know if you've done that, but you know that it's something strenuous, it's something risky, it's something nobody has done, and you start to feel excitement in that. And normal life, you actually find it boring, right? Like you don't see the goodness in just making a breakfast for your kid, or doing just these small things. You like to do something very risky, and this is one of the reason we feel the inner pressure, because we don't appreciate the routine, and we don't appreciate that people are around us, or sometimes even we don't accept failing relationships. right? Failing relationships, like our relationship is not working, and we don't accept it that we have problems, or we don't accept it that we are not feeling well. So communication is one of the skill which is missing in high performers. And you know what, nobody really cares that you don't have communication problems, because you are performing, and performance is always, appreciated, isn't it? Like, would you really, in your team also, if you have a high performer who's always taking the stress, would you really go and tell him, like, if there's a job, that, okay, you're doing too much, maybe you should let the other people, do it? No, everybody is happy that, you're doing all the stuff and nobody needs to really take care, and you are responsible for everything. So basically, you see that people don't tell the high performers that they need to perform less, or why are they pushing themselves hard, because probably the other people in your family are also disconnected with themselves. I remember this incident when I was working too much, and I told it to my father's sister. I said, like, you know what, with Nyasa and with all this thing, I think my work is too much. And she told me, like, what do you mean? You must work. You're young. Shouldn't say such stuff that you don't want to work. And thankfully, I had my knowledge that it's too much for me and my body can't take it, and I must reduce on my work, because that was the kind of feedback I got from my family members, like, okay, you must work, why are you complaining? In fact, I repeated many times in my life, I belong to two very different family. One family which is, very relaxed, because I belong to Andaman Islands. My mother is from there. It's near the sea. It's a very relaxed and nice place. And my father's side, my goodness, is a series of very crazy pitas. I mean, they all have extraordinary achievements, going to Antarctica, these kind of stuff. Not really like getting a job or building a multi-millionaire something. And many people in our family felt this pressure and have fallen apart. Right. Many people in our family. For example, one of my cousin, he's depressed because his brother did so well and he couldn't. So is he a high performer? And that's the mistake. We think only the people who are performing high are high performers, and that's a mistake. You have the desire, a lot of desires which need to be fulfilled, and you feel the pressure from within. I'm going to tell you the signs of the high performer too, apart from their disease, so you can know exactly if you're one or not, right? But when I meet this cousin of mine who is not able to perform, I can feel that he feels like a failure and he doesn't feel good. And actually, he's into depression and he doesn't talk to anybody anymore. So I'm luckily a mix, because I have my father's side and my mother's side, so I can see both the sides. But I can imagine for some people in my family how difficult it must be to accept that it's a failure, because that's the biggest high performer thing, that they're not ready to accept that it's a failure. But when you start to accept that the things are a failure, you are actually bringing in this profound change, in yourself, because you will then see a different method to do it. So you must definitely give a time frame to see things. Let's come to the idea of doing Ayurvedic consultancy only. So if you don't have a structure, if you don't know how to do it, and you try to do it with reading all the books, you already know that you're going to struggle for many years, because Ayurveda is huge. And a consultation can be from one end of India to another, talking about all the things you don't know what to talk about, and then there's a pressure. I'm just giving you this as an example, because I met consultants who try to create their own structure and do consultation, and it doesn't work, right? So basically, it is very important to know that when it is not working in an easy way, when you don't have something you can really get, you need to change your method and not wait till you're in this list of all the diseases, or you're seeing the people with a lot of diseases. So when you're starting to see people with diseases, it's the time to talk to them about what they're doing, and tell them that it's normal that we feel pressure, because we are born and grown up in such a competitive world where everybody is just evaluating us from how we are performing. When I was a teenager, I was very emotional, and I hardly saw people appreciating it. People were more happy with me when I brought them awards and when I did something So that's eventually how I started putting pressure on myself, because people acknowledge you, nobody's acknowledging somebody who has a lot of good feelings. It's like, yeah, it's okay, you have all these good feelings, but please perform, you know. Yes, and that's where when Ayurveda came into my life, everything changed. My understanding about performance, and at many parts of life, I let go of the career. Really speaking, like there were many opportunities which I didn't do because I had a young baby with me. I was a wife, and opportunities were endless, and I wanted to have it all: good relationships and work, and not only work without a good relationship. You see, so Ayurveda changes the way you look at things. So now I will tell you, how do you know if you are a high performer? Okay, and you will tell me your score after it. So get a pen and a paper and write it. What's your score once I finish the quiz? Okay, so let's see, how do you know that you're a high performer? I'll go slow. So number one, you constantly have plans, right? One plan, second plan, then weekend plan, day plan, full plan, plans all the time. You're just not like, okay, it's Sunday and I'm just gonna go with the flow and sit in the sun, and you have plans like this on Sunday, this on Monday, so you get a 1 point for that. You use the term I have to a lot. Check it out. Huh? It's very interesting that I have to, I need to, I must give my daughter. Like, you use these terms a lot, then you get 1 more point. You feel happy on the days you achieve. For example, if you signed a new deal, or if you did something new, or if a client praised you, if you're because this is the group for professional. If you're a professional, somebody said something, you just feel happy, as if somebody gave you what you wanted to have. It's like lacking the trust that you're good, and really getting influence from the outside, right? And you're looking for constant excitement, like, how can I make it more exciting for me, right? You're very self-critical and demanding. That's the fourth one. Okay, so the first one is you have plans. You use the term I have to. You feel happy on the day, and look on the day when people praise you or acknowledge you, and look for constant excitement. You're self-critical and very demanding. You're demanding. I'm like, think about this, like the plan, if you have made for yourself, would you give it to your children to do? So if you won't, it means you're too demanding. Would you give it to your parent? Would you give it to your best friend? That means you've asked too much from yourself. Okay, number five, it just seems it's never enough. Is it enough? No, you could do better. That's the most common thing, right? Then one of them I told you in the beginning, you push yourself. The number 6, you push yourself to do things in spite of not feeling well. You ignore all these signs which are happening in your body. For example, you feel a pain in the chest, or you feel a pain in the shoulder. It's like, now is workout time and it's time to do workout, right? So basically that is how it goes with high performance. Then when the things are not in your control, when it goes out of control, then you basically have very strong mood swings, right? So you start to feel your mood going up and down when things don't really work in the right way. And it is difficult for you, this is the major point of high performance, it's difficult for you to say that you are struggling and someone needs to help you, organize you, and there are parts in you which is weak. It's like, I am okay, everybody else need help. So what's your score on the high performance? Calculated, it should be out of 8. What is your score on the high performance? Tell me. And I'll have some water because, as usual, I'm very excited in all of my lives. So how many do you have? Do you have 2, 4, 6? And with these criteria, you can actually check the high performers. And obviously, wow, 7 out of 8. That's a high score. 7. You see? So you see that, like, when we don't look at our body and we don't look at, the pressure we are putting on ourselves, we can see that there is this thing about high performance. Now, I know this, right? Theresia 7, wow. Some of your names are not really coming in the live, so I cannot pronounce it. It's my new app. So, I'm reading your comments, but I don't see the comments of people who are not my Facebook friends. Seven. The last criteria, okay? The last criteria was, it is difficult for you to accept that you're struggling. And some part of you need help. And some part of you is also weak. That's the 8th one, right? So I would advise you to be positive and to think about that one thing you don't have, and see this like, always like with end in mind. This is not the right way to progress. Or if you have a client also and you check and you see a lot of multiple diseases, trust me, check these features, you will definitely see them, right? Did you get it? Now the last criteria. Six is also like a high performer, probably. The thing about yoga meditation is that they help you to also perform more, right? We meditate, and I was in a business group of Carrie Green, and she said in her life that you must meditate every day so you can work more. So you see, like, high performers also use yoga meditation as a tool to do more, because they see this as something which needs to be done. It's very interesting. Anybody who had two or three, you know, two or three in the criteria. Let me look at the name. If anybody, wow, that's interesting that most of the people who are live in the live and the ones who are going to watch the replay, I hope the replay will be there because I'm using a new software to do this live. So I hope that there can be replay and people can watch it. But you see this, that the score is really high. 6 is a very high score. 7 is a high score. Something about 2 or 3 is okay. But it's also nice to think, like, what do you think about the people who are not performing high? Because this question comes from my family lineage, right? Like, how do you think about the people? Tell me, if they are not performing good, do you really evaluate them? All of them? Okay, 3. 3 is a good score. How do you evaluate? How do you even think about the people who don't perform good? Because especially from my father's side, I have seen a lot of people really criticizing them, really like talking about, like, well, they're highly successful and these are not. And for me, this doesn't make any difference. If you see this, then basically you can see this, that people are basically evaluating you according care about it. It makes no difference, right? Yes, the first thing about high performance is, like, you need to accept this. You need to accept that you're one. You need to be honest about, right, you've gone through major changes. Yes, that's already, like, it was my famous quote. Like, I used to use it in all my lectures. Awareness is half solution, right? So yeah, see, like, and that's where, when I was thinking about, like, why I'm performing high, and I looked at myself, I found out that I have also judgment towards the people who are not performing. So this judgment is, reflecting on me. And where does this judgment come from? It comes from my father's side, right? Because whenever I go to any family gathering, I'm just, okay, he did this, he did this. You're never talking about, how, with what emotions. In fact, we have a joke in my father's family. If nobody says good about your food, that means everything is very good. So if there's something wrong, they'll make sure that it, and you change it. But if everybody's eating quietly, it means that everything is okay, right? So the Rajas guna is exactly like, it's a speedometer, and you can go with any speed, right? But it's your responsibility, your understanding towards your body. And because this is a group for training consultants, and if you're in a position to watch out for people, have an eye for them, that are they suffering from internal pressure, are they very judgmental towards the fact that they are not performing. And when it comes to a plant, right, then when you have a plant and that plant is not growing well, would you really stress out about it? Like, no, you would just see, okay, which fertilizer can help it grow. You will put that fertilizer and the plant will grow, right? But when it comes to us, we think like, stressing, pressurizing, this is going to push us forward. And as I told you, like many yoga meditation people are also actually using these as a tools to do more. It is enough what you're doing. You are enough. And before any external judgment comes, you should tell yourself, because you know what, my understanding to life is that we are only suffering from others' opinion when we don't have an opinion about ourselves. When we are very clear that this is how much we could do, that is our very best, and we are satisfied, and we really look at our planning in a way that we understand that, you have a husband, you have a child, you have a family, you have a mother, you want to do things for happiness, because like I told, most of the high performers don't have good connections, and they don't accept that they don't have good connections. They don't know what to do if they stop working, because it's not really exciting, right? But the thing is, like, there's a vicious circle of not connecting with people, and then judging them a lot, because you judge yourself a lot, and not knowing, like, I won't go and talk to him because there's nothing in common with me and him. And that's because they want to do their work. So the truth about human beings is, and I always teach this in all my course, that we need connections. We need people to talk and connect, and we need somebody to understand us. So when you're trying to understand, like, how do you treat high performance, then basically it comes to doing good consultations, right? To do consultations which are structured, which actually help you to understand why you are the way you are, right? Like I said, awareness is half solution. And various reasons of what is the reason why you have high performance. Now, this can be a lecture of 2-3 hours, right? Because I told you, like, I have so many people I worked with. But normally we find out in Ayurvedic psychology that most of the Pitta people put their work front because they're denying some kind of emotions. The fact that they're lonely, they don't feel understood, and they find that only the work as a front will be something which will be appreciated, and they put their emotions behind. And if you want to go back to this course, then there's a course in the beginning of the your group, which is in your links, and you have a course on tongue reading, and you can actually see this on the tongue, that when toxins are more towards the backward side, then you basically have vata suppressed, right? And vata suppressed means that you're feeling hurt, you're not feeling good, but you're not saying anything because you should be strong. The syndrome of I have to. It's very interesting for me when I hear, people say I have to. What do you say? I have to. What do you say about, like, I have to? Type your things in the comments so we can know, like, what all you don't have to, right? So I have to thing is really very pressurizing and stressful, because you think I have to. And it's very interesting. I heard things like, I have to be a good wife. And I asked the person, like, well, okay, so what's your strategy to be a good wife? And she had no strategy. Or I have to be a good mother. Is there some have to be a good mother? No. You have different doshas, and that kind of you are. And then that's the understanding you build in between your child and you, or your partner and you. There's nothing as I have to. But I have to is a very commonly used statement, and it is like the thing about really, feeling the pressure from inside. Now, what was really interesting for how can Ayurveda help in high performance? So similarly, right, I have to do self-care or I won't be able to perform. You see? So you're not doing self-care, you're doing rajas, you know? So all these I have to is like pop the bubbles out. You don't have to. What do you love to do? Is your passion. I have to study, get organized, get all the papers. You see, why do you use I have to? This word is really like a pressure word. So you can say, in my plans this week, I will be doing this and this, and then you keep it like manageable. But get like a big cross, a big red bleep over I have to word, and watch out for whenever you say that. Okay, so I have to is getting minused. So in a consultation, we discover the reasons what is happening behind this high pressure. Sometimes I also find out that the other people of the family are putting pressure. For example, husbands, let's say that they gave you an opportunity and they put pressure on you, like be successful. But I keep repeating, the Hindu Vedas, which says that the result is not in your hand. You can only do what you can. And this is from the Gita, right? Like, you're not attached to what um, you you must do. It is just you do it because you love to do it, and you're not attached to the results, because the truth is that it is to believe that when your methodology is right, and when you're discussing the way you see the problems and you find solutions, this extra rajas just fuses out because you see the way of how it is getting done, right? So a consultation is definitely very important. Um, that's what I said, that most of the high performer take coaches, get supplement, but only to perform high, not to stop. Do yoga, do breathing, do meditation. And that's where you need to really understand that your worth is not determined by what you do. Let me repeat it. Your worth is not determined by what you do. You are worthy of doing all once you feel good, right? You don't have to push and stress, struggle and shame yourself or beat yourself down. And you have to accept sometimes, things as they are. Like, often if I do any complaining calls, I mostly call my mom and I say to her, this is happening, and she has only one answer: can you do anything about it? I'm like, no. Okay, then be happy. That's her answer. And it's very nice to hear this. It brings a smile to my face, like, well, just smile, because guess that's what it is, the solution, what has been told. And that's how my parents react to, if I tell them some struggles, they're like, can you do something about it? Do it. If you can't do something about it, accept it. See what's the next thing you can do. And I get this attitude from my parents because they're meditating, right? So I think this is the right meditation mindset. And over 1 year in COVID, I have seen them happy in the lockdown. They were happy when we couldn't go to visit them. They were playing games, and they used to play chess. And whoever used to lose in chess used to wash dishes, cook food. They used to do something fun, and I love it. And so they are performing high in a way of having a high quality life. Uh, it's just basically like you're free now, and how you feel inside you. And just because of my Ayurvedic way of understanding, I can see all this. And definitely, in a consultation, we also get to the deeper topics of why you need this push or why you need this pressure. What is that what you're missing? What is that what you need to accept? Where are you stuck? Many things are there which a consultation helps you to sort out. And if we see in Ayurveda, then these kind of consultations are not available. Most of the consultations which are available are the consultations which go into just telling you about your type or about your health or something about the food, but they don't really go deep. And when you want to help a person truly deeply, you need to understand that person deeply. Because the truth is, most of the high performers are not understood. They are Their achievements are celebrated, but they are content, right? I've heard also people telling that, she works very good, but you know what, she's not a good mother. So people are looking for their faults. So once they have this understanding about you, and once they have this relatability, then high performance is something which can be structured in a good way. One thing which is also very much helping the high performers is to cut down on stimulants. There has been research about high levels of histamines in people who are performing, high, because they constantly have stress hormones, and because of the stress hormones, then they have problems with histamine. If you know histamine, they produce a lot of allergic reactions in the body, some red spot here, there. Your body is trying to show you that, you're pushing and pressurizing yourself high. But then what is the solution? What we will apply is, like, we will try to put a cream, or you have a herb, forget about the signal what the body showed, and continue to do our work, right? So when you're cutting down on Rajas food, especially high performance sugar, they need sugar. Sugar is something they live on. Sometimes they restrict themselves from eating sugar, but it doesn't help, right? They want to have something like then more like pasta, bread, they live on sugar. They have sugar, they have eggs, they have coffee, they have flour, they have alcohol, they have meat, and they're in love with fermented food like cheese and so on. And in Ayurveda, this is all connected to Rajas, right? So most of the high performer love Rajas. It's just like their petrol for performing. And when you cut it down, it really helps you to calm down your body. Eating more freshly cooked food with ingredients which you don't have to read labels. I mean, I often ask the people when they say like, shall I read this label and so on, and I'm like, why do you eat food which has a lot of labels? Like, reduce the amount. So the more you're going to eat fresh, the more you're going to start feeling grateful to where you have been. And the fact that you are beautiful and you don't need any validation from anybody outside. There is beauty in you, there is charisma in you. And this has nothing to do with what you are, performing. The more you can be calming down yourself, and the more you will appreciate silence, the more you will start appreciating this new kind of life which you're getting, you will feel good, right? Now, coming, because this was a live to talk about how to help the high performers with Ayurveda, the other things are, well, one-on-one things like, right, getting the herbs, seeing what kind of problem they are in, why they are in this problem, making them understand this, and obviously, marma therapy is one of the amazing way, which is like the 107 points of the body, and when they are blocked, you don't feel yourself. And when you don't feel yourself, you don't feel hungry, you don't feel your body at all. So marma therapy is one of the key of Ayurveda, which is very useful in high performance. When you press the points, the people have an understanding about what is really blocked. Is it their liver? It is their kidney. And most of the high performers in Marma treatment also, they're like, this point is blocked. What point is this? What point is this? They just cannot keep calm, and say that, okay, do the work. They're very much like, what was that? What was that? That hurt. That did not hurt. So you can already see that, they're very much in their body trying to make things better. So Ayurveda also has this amazing tool besides consultancy for helping high performance. Then regular detoxification and pauses are very important for them, because when you pause, and I also recommend to go away from your life, and I have done it a lot of time. You go away from the life where you are, and then you have a look at it, what's happening inside. So the distance helps you to see clearer, right? We all can agree to this fact that basically when there is no distance, we are in the same pattern, and the pattern is just mostly repetitive, right? So when you take a distance, it really helps. And when you are basically doing some things like bigger things like panchakarma, or when you are going into even wellness, massage, getting in contact more with your body, then you start to understand that the body is an important part of you, and it is giving you signs to rest, and not like, oh no, again I'm missing the energy and I need to do all this work and I don't feel. It's just like you accept things and you leave your habit to control. Most of the very high performers have the habit to control. They want everything as they would like it, right? So they're very much like, okay, this has to be like this and this has to be like this, and I must perform in this way and so on. So basically you see, like, it is very important that when you are having high performance habit, that you are leaving the control of other people and you trust that they can also do. You don't take all on your plate, you distribute things in a proper way, right? So Ayurvedic treatments, mostly all of them. One of the treatment I also love about for high performers is the Kati Basti on the heart. Okay, so that is called Hriday Basti. So I love that treatment, and it is very much like a spiritual significance where you build a pot of oil over your ribs on your left side where the heart is, a little away, and then you put warm oil on your fur, like your heart, and it's this amazing feeling where you just feel this area of your heart. So that's called a Hriday Basti, and that is very much good for high performers to do, so that they can start feeling their body, self massage and so on. Right. If I hear from someone, I have to, I don't have to anything. Yes. Right. That's a very nice thing you're teaching your children, what you enjoy. But you see, like many of these things is like life is fast, it's happening, pushing, pressurizing the way, right? Oh, Eva, that's so sweet that you're aware of this is Ayurveda and you're happy. Eva has changed her issues, and it changes the whole outlook with which you look at stuff. And the best part of this is that you can help other people, right? Isn't it like you're helping other people also with understanding how they need to change? My experience in consultancy is not that I have to what happened here. Okay, I think I was lost for a while. So my experience in consultancy is not about that I've not studied the words, but I always take care that I communicate it to the clients in the right way, that they understand and they change stuff, and then they start to, get it. Like they get it. It's just like you get it. And when we have Ayurveda in a very theoretical way, which we don't understand and which we don't know, so then people don't understand Ayurveda. And that's the thing about consultancy. It has to be so easy that, think about this in consultancy, that when you're trying to explain something, then you should be able to explain it to your children. So I often explain my daughter Nyasa about the various concepts. And if she gets it, I'm like, okay, I think I'm explaining things in the right way, versus explaining things to show your complicated knowledge, right? So there are many other things which we could integrate, in understanding high performance. We could also in a consultation, we can see what is your Ojas level. Ojas is the amount of energy you have. We can see what's your Tejas level, and now you see I'm talking the complicated thing. We can see which systems are blocked, which dosha is imbalanced, what does your body say. So whenever you're starting to feel strange and your health doesn't feel good, it's always recommended that you get a consultation, and you start to get support for the problem you're facing, instead of facing everything alone. Because like I said, the high performance reason, habit number 8, try to do all by yourself because you know you can, and the truth is you can't. Maybe you can do for others because you're not really attached to their problem, and you give a good guide, you're a good guide. But when it comes to yourself, most of us fail, right? And we can see this, like I attract a lot of high performers because I was, in fact, one of them. And the lesson, what I really got from this is that I missed a lot of little happiness. I missed a lot of this time with my daughter when she was very young, because I was like, so much like, okay, perform, perform. How many consultations did you do? How much did you do? He did more and she did less. Stuff like that. Versus my whole attitude changed when I realized this, that this is making me sick, this is making me not really feel good. And I started to trust. I started to say sentences to myself like, yeah, okay, if I don't do this well, I'm still loved. My worth is not just from what I do. My worth is, and I'm doing my very best to make a difference in this world, to teach people, and that I accept that this is my best. Because if I won't accept my best, then how will the best get better? Because I'm being so critical. So basically, it is about really knowing self-talk and getting out of this situation. Because I should make it clear for you, I have seen people in burnout, the perfectionist who came crying, I cannot do anything, all my energy is gone, and so on. So this comes from an experience of even being a doctor, and they had so many patterns, old patterns about stressing, pressurizing. And when you start to see this on a daily basis, how the pressure of performing, and listen to this, the worst thing about it is that you can't even perform for a long time, right? So it's just like a jump and then it's gone, right? Because consistency is a game changer. If you want to do anything, you need to be consistent about it. You need to do it in a way which is easy. You need to understand what strategies, what ways are really to do it, rather than trying all the remedies yourself here and there because you don't want anybody to really guide you properly. So consistently finding the right technique, accepting your limitations, and just to see that the fact that you want to perform high is not bad, but it has to be really in tune with your body. And as a this is a group for professionals. So many of you are in the phase of meeting people who are, in this thing about harming themselves or really criticizing themselves. Like a cousin of mine always say, "Oh, it's over. I'm already old. Everything is finished for me." I'm like, "What do you mean by old? We're not old. It's just we're in our 40s, right? That's not old. 40s is the new 30s." So the mentality, about pressurizing, pushing, because she just wants to. The basic thing is like she's pushed herself so much that now if she says that, well, it's over, then it's done, right? So our mind, when it sees that you really cannot do it, starts to create autoimmunity in the body because it's a way of protecting you from anything. I have also seen it in relationships that people find it hard to conceive when they don't trust their partners because they're not convinced that this partner is the right partner for them. So many such things are found. And then they're evaluating themselves that, oh, they're a failure because they couldn't have kids, or they're a failure because this project failed. No one failure defines you in your life. Your worth is much more than that. And that very important to know is that this life is meant to be living joyfully and to enjoy it. It is not a project where you have to learn 500 things and not know what to do with them, right? So live your life joyfully, inspire people to live joyfully. And if you have the high performance syndrome, if you are having problems with it, seek help, talk to someone about it, get yourself a coach, work through it. If you find people who you would like to help, especially in holistic health field, also you need a structure. So Ayurvedic consultancy course is one of the things what also gives you structure, how to help the people, how to really make the change, how to communicate, when to take a step back. So, learn methods rather than just reading books, because books are just good for theory. But when you need to do something out of a book, then you really need teacher to tell you how to really make it easy for others, right? And that's where um, passion in consultancy is one of the thing I really I'm passionate about. And truly speaking, we're finishing an hour of learning from here. I could be talking to you for another 1 or 2 hours about high performers and what problems they have. But the core is really to create more sattva around you in your life and to appreciate what you have and see for the reason, what is the reason you're pushing and putting yourself in this way that you have to. Get rid of all these sentences, I have to, I have to. Okay. So thank you very much. I've seen very enthusiastic people in the live, the ones who are watching a replay. Tell me your score. Tell me that you watched the replay. What did you like about this live? What are you taking away from this live? Because whenever we finish a topic, so as you're going to shut this book, this live down, then the first thing what I would really advise you to do is to write down what did you learn from this life for your life, not for others, right? So what have you learned? What is that? Rajas, and if you have any questions, you can ask me now because, I'm here. So Rajas is a masculine energy, Sattva is feminine. Activity and relax. Just need to find out our own balance to be in harmony with ourselves. It's all about us. This life is all about us. It's all about understanding what makes you happy. Where do you feel happy? What are the changes you can bring in your life, right? And Rajas being a masculine energy is one way of seeing it, but Rajas is very much connected to the fire type, right? So as I sign out from the group, this group is to learn about consultancy, about talking to other people, So if you have holistic health practitioners who are interested to learn Ayurvedic consultancy, and there's a free course waiting for you in the course section, you can have a look at this free course, and you can invite your friends to kind of join this group to promote the love of consultancy. And I am a person, I always love and appreciate the people who don't just paint the wall from outside and who are interested to find out what's with this wall, that it can become stronger from inside. And that's exactly the role of a consultant who is trained to see what is that in you, what really needs to be changed from inside so you can start feeling better outside, right? So I have a team of consultants who are consulting, and the ones who have taken the journey of ACOC 1, ACOC 2, and are passionate into consultancy, because I believe that every individual should have the right to get a proper consultation, which has like a high power over your soul and over your mind, and really makes a difference, and that is one of the reason when I used to be in Europe, people used to keep coming back for my consultation, because they knew each time they spoke with me, they felt better, they saw a solution. And that's how Ayurvedic consultancy needs to be practiced in the modern world today, so that these things like high performance, burnouts and different stuff can be understood and can be helped, right? So in this group, we'll be basically promoting consultancy and how to consult other people rather than yourself. But according to my signature methodology, you always work on yourself before you point your fingers to others. Okay. So thank you very much for joining me today, and have a nice day. Bye bye.